Oh hey there, today we're going to be making some delicious and simple lunch recipes. So these recipes are brilliant for students or anyone who's really busy because they're super simple to make. You don't need any fancy kitchen equipment or any special kitchen skills. And if you didn't know already, as you're working your way through each recipe on our website, you can actually cross through the ingredients and the directions as you work your way through each step, which can be super handy. So all of the recipes we're going to be making today, I'm going to leave the recipe links for you in the description box below. Now let's get started. For the first recipe, we're making a creamy dill pasta salad with a heavenly tahini dressing. We're gonna first start out with cooking about 3 cups of fusilli pasta according to the package instructions until it's al dente. While that cooks, we're gonna add 1.5 cups of cooked chickpeas to a large bowl, and then we can move on to prepping the veggies. So for this, we're gonna finely chop about 2 red bell peppers, about half of a cucumber, we'll mince up about 3 tablespoons worth of red onion, and we'll slice half of a cup of Kalamata olives in half. Then we're gonna add in my favorite herb, about 3/4 of a cup of fresh dill that we're gonna chop up. To me, the more generous you are with the dill in this recipe, the better. Then we can make the dressing by adding half of a cup of creamy tahini to a bowl, and then we're gonna add in 3 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice, which is the juice from about 1.5 lemons. We'll add 2 cloves of crushed garlic, 1/3 of a cup of water, a tablespoon each of olive oil and red wine vinegar, a teaspoon each of ground cumin and paprika powder, along with 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Then we can whisk this all together. When the pasta is cooked and drained, we're gonna add it to our bowl with the veggies, and then we can pour the creamy dressing over top of it all, give it a gentle toss so that it's coated, and then in under 20 minutes from start to finish, your meal is ready. So you definitely want to taste test your pasta salad at this point and see what you think. You might want it with a little bit more lemon juice or tahini or garlic or even salt. So don't be afraid to adjust it to how you think you're going to enjoy it most. We can then serve the pasta right into some bowls to enjoy right away, or you can pack it up and take it with you on the go. We've actually packed ours alongside some cucumbers with hummus and some apple slices to enjoy as a snack, but it's the pasta salad that's the star of the show, so serve it generously and enjoy. This next recipe is gonna make anyone you have lunch with super jealous. We're gonna be making some vegan rice sandwiches inspired by Japanese onigirazu. We're gonna begin with 1.5 cups of short grain Japanese rice, which we're gonna cook according to the package instructions. While that cooks, we're gonna be making the filling for the sandwiches by adding 2 cups of cooked chickpeas to a large bowl, and then we're gonna mash it the best we can before we add 1/4 cup of chopped pickles, 3 tablespoons of minced onion, 1/4 cup of vegan mayonnaise, and 2 tablespoons of ketchup. We're then gonna give this all a mix. This flavor combination makes the filling taste kind of like tuna salad, but veganized, of course, using chickpeas as the protein source. So for this next step, I'm gonna be seasoning the rice just because I love the flavor of it, but this is totally optional. So if you wanna speed things along, just use plain rice instead, it's totally fine. So to a small bowl, we're gonna add 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar, a teaspoon of optional granulated sugar, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. When the rice is cooked, we're gonna transfer it to a large shallow bowl, and then we're gonna pour the vinegar mixture over top of it and very gently give it all a mix. We're gonna let this sit and cool for a little bit while we thinly slice some cucumber and chop about half of a cup's worth of red cabbage. Now to keep this recipe super simple, you can serve the onigirazu with some soy sauce alone, but I'm pretty obsessed with sriracha mayo, so I'm gonna serve it with that too, which just involves mixing 3 parts of vegan mayonnaise to 1 part sriracha, and that's it, super simple. Next, grab a nori sheet with the rough side up and the point facing towards you. So now we can return to the rice, but one little tip, it actually helps if you have a little bowl of water next to you. That way you can dip your fingers into it and get your hands a little bit wet, and this keeps the rice from sticking to your hands. We'll scoop up about 1/3 cup of the rice and place it in the center of the nori sheet. And then using our hands, we're gonna shape it into a square about 1 centimeter thick where the flat side of the rice square is facing you. Then we can place a single layer of lettuce over top of the rice, followed by 3 tablespoons of our chickpea mixture, which will spread out into a square shape as well. And then a layer of the sliced cucumber gets to go over top of that, followed by a layer of the cabbage. So feel free to swap out any of these fillings for other ingredients that you'd like or prefer instead, like avocado, for example, or some carrot slices would also work really well here. Now we can wet our fingers again. We're gonna scoop up another 1/3 cup of rice and place it in the palm of our hands, and then shape it into a square before we gently place it on top of the stack. Now we're ready to seal this up. So we're gonna first fold in opposite points of the nori sheet, and then using a little bit of water, we're gonna help to seal it where they meet. Then, as if we're wrapping a present, we're gonna tuck in and fold over the other 2 points to fully enclose the rice and the fillings inside the nori sheet. Again, just use a little bit of water to help it seal fully. Then we're just gonna repeat this process to make the remaining sandwiches. If you find that it's a little bit messy, don't sweat it. It's all gonna work out just fine, especially because it all just gets wrapped up in the nori. You're also gonna find that the sandwiches come together a lot more quickly and effortlessly the more practice you get and the more of them you make. So these rice sandwiches are ready and they're portable just like this. You can put it in a container and head out the door, or if you'd like, you can also cut it in half right now. Just make sure to use a sharp knife. And now you can serve the onigirazu along with your soy sauce and sriracha mayo. If you'd like to also fill up your other bento box with some snacks, you can always serve it with some roasted nuts and some cooked edamame. Now your lunch is ready to enjoy. For the final recipe, we're gonna be making the iconic Caesar salad, but in a portable wrap form. So right now we're gonna make some delicious chickpea croutons. You can do this two ways, either on the stove, which is what we're gonna do now, or in the microwave, which actually makes them a little bit more crunchy. So if you'd like the microwave method, check out the link in the description box below. So to make our croutons, we're gonna add a cup of cooked chickpeas to a pan on high heat, along with 2 teaspoons of olive oil and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. We're then gonna let this cook for about 14 minutes, giving it a stir every few minutes so that it cooks evenly. Meanwhile, we're gonna make the dressing. So to a small bowl, we're gonna add 1/2 cup of unsweetened plant-based yogurt, 2 tablespoons each of nutritional yeast and vegan mayonnaise, 1/2 lemon that's first zested and then juiced, a teaspoon of chopped capers, 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, and 1/4 teaspoon each of salt and some ground black pepper. Then we can mix this all together. Then to a bowl, we're gonna add another full cup of cooked chickpeas and we're gonna mash this with a fork. When it's all mashed up, we're gonna add about 1/2 of the dressing to it and mix it all together. By now, the chickpea croutons should also be golden on the outside, and if so, we can remove it from the heat. Now all that's left is the assembly. So to some large wraps, we're gonna add a heaping pile of romaine lettuce, the mashed chickpeas over top of that, and then the chickpea croutons. We're gonna drizzle on some of the divine dressing, and then we can tuck and roll our wraps. And you can take the wrap with you to go just like this, or feel free to slice it in half and make sure to serve it with some extra sauce on the side. You really can't have too much of this incredible sauce. If you're gonna be serving it in bento boxes, we served ours with some tortilla chips and salsa and some more of those chickpea croutons just as a snack, but the main meal, of course, is the wrap itself. These wraps are protein-packed, ready in under 20 minutes, and just super easy to make. If you love Caesar salads as much as I do, this just might be your new favorite lunch. So there you have it, 3 new lunch recipes to try out. I hope you love them. And if you do try any of our recipes, let us know what you thought of it in the comment section of our website. And if there's any other themes for future videos you'd like to see, let us know what those are in the comment section below. So I'll see you down there. Thanks so much for hanging with us today. Really appreciate it. Pickup Limes signing off, and we'll see you in the next video.